What's up, guys? It's Jim with Awakened TCG, bringing you guys our weekly locals video. This week we have Reiju. Probably not the leader a lot of you were expecting, and that's because I did a community post on a Thursday, which we do every Thursday, that said it was going to be Yamato. It's Reiju, surprise. So Wraith unfortunately could not play Yamato in the local this week because of a couple of reasons. Not going to get into that, but unfortunately, we are not going to be getting Yamato this week. We're going to be getting a Vinsmoke Reiju, which I piloted myself. It is going to be my main deck that I'm playing this set. Really fun leader, guys. This is one of the most funs I've ever had on a leader. So I'm really glad that I got to play this week and not next week. Only downside is I don't get my Altar leader that is coming into the mail this next Monday. So would have had it for next week, but did not have it for this week. And if you are wondering, we will be switching the days. Reiju did win the poll for this week. So pretty much just swapping. Yamato is going to be next Saturday. So if you're looking for the Yamato Locals video, that will be next Saturday. Reiju is going to be this Saturday as I played her this week. So anyways, as I was saying, very fun deck. This list is a pretty standard list. It's not gonna blow any minds. It's not gonna be anything you haven't seen anymore, minus a few tech cards that I really like in this deck and I think are interesting. I did really good on this deck. I actually ended up going 3-0 this week. We had a lot of people in attendance, so probably could have gone a few more rounds, but our locals only do 3 rounds every week. But I got 3 decent rounds in for sure. Really good leader, really competitive leader. Speaking of competitive, if you guys are wondering, we are going to the Santa Clara Regionals tomorrow. Or actually it should be today. This video is going up Saturday, so we will all be at the Santa Clara Regionals this Saturday. So if you guys are going, I really look forward to see you there. I don't get to make a lot of regionals, just because they're usually in other states and it's hard to make. This one is actually very local to us. So it's a perfect regional to go to, and I fortunately made it into. So going to be piloting Reiju there as well, and hopefully I do as good as I did this week. But anyways, hope to see you guys there. Let's get into the deck list. First up here, probably the lifeblood of the deck. It's going to be 4 of Kingdom of Germa stage. If you've seen a Reiju list, you know this card is 100% necessary. I don't want to, okay, maybe not 100% necessary, but it's definitely going to make your life a million times easier. This card builds your trash, which Reiju needs, while finding the combo pieces you need to find. Reiju is a deck, if you run the Germa version, that needs to find 2 pieces to make a combo, right? You need to find the smaller version of a brother, and then you need to find the bigger version of a brother, right? You can't just find one. So this allows you to find both pieces and start getting those combos off, which are really hard to get off if you do not find this stage. Fortunately, this deck does draw a lot, obviously. Our leader draws, and we have a couple other cards that can draw into it, such as Reiju and a couple other cards. But pretty much, I don't want to say this is necessary to win games, but in a matchup like Moria or Sakazuki that's really hard in the first place, you kind of need to find this guy to win the game if they don't break really hard. It definitely enables your strategy and allows you just to do what you want to do a lot faster. But finding it late game is not the end of the world, and you should always play it when you find it. Next up here, let's go 4 of the Germa 66 event. So we need to find our Germa cards, right? We need to find stage. This is the only card that can actually search for stage. Stage can search for itself, obviously, but if we already have stage, we don't want stage. So if I see either of these in the opening hand, unless it's a completely terrible hand, I'm going to keep the hand, right? If you see stage or you see this guy, almost 100% of the time, you're going to keep the hand. And if I get this, I'm searching for stage if I don't have it in hand already. So just a great searcher and very necessary for this deck, in my opinion, especially considering the fact is that way more over half your deck is Germa. And as I was saying before, we need to find these combo pieces and make them work together. This is just another tool to do that. Speaking of the combo pieces, let's get into them. We've got 4 of our 2-cost Vinsmoke Reiju here. And obviously, what would the 2-cost be without the transformation suit up into the 4-cost Reiju? Beautiful card art here, and I really, really love this card. Drawing cards, everybody knows, it's one of the most fun things in any card game. This card, paired with Leader Effect, is going to draw 3 cards when you play it on sometimes even your first turn going second, if you already have that combo enabled. Really, really strong card, and the fact that you're playing these bodies out, smaller bodies and stuff like that, small stages, you really do need this Reiju just to keep your hand size up. It's not as needed as I think the Ichiji is, but it's definitely one that you kind of want to see. Really good body, 5K body that you can get out extremely early. And obviously the drawing cards is just really, really strong. So one of my favorite cards, and love when I find it. Next up here, we've got 4 of the 3-cost Niji. So a lot of people, some people run 3 of this guy. I think it's a 4 of. It's just way too good and flexible, especially in a meta where there's a ton of 4-cost stuff that you want to bounce, right? They play a Kuzan. You want to get that guy off board. This can remove it. They play any 2-cost, say a brand new, he can just KO it. Speaking of, I did not put the transformation on yet. Here we go. That is our 5-cost Vinsmoke Niji that it obviously transforms into. A very, very necessary card. And I think out of the transformations we run in this deck, though, probably the weakest and the one I have the least to say about. Next up here, we have our best transformation card in the deck. It is going to be our Vinsmoke Ichiji, which is our 7K Rusher transformation. This guy wins matchups. This guy is a monster. Playing a 7K Rush for 4 Dawn that also gives minus 2K is criminal. It is so strong, and it is what I use to control board and go for games, and pretty much what wins me games for the most part. Finding these pieces is your best strategy in the deck. If I look at a top 3 and I see one of these 2, I'm going to pick Ichiji every time for the most part. And then every time you have stage on board, 7 cost is your best trash target, followed by these 2 and your judge. If you can trash a card and you have a 7 cost in hand, it is what you want to get rid of. You are never playing this out of hand. This is only out of trash. So definitely want to see this guy as well as your stage. Next up here, another Germa card. This one going to be searchable. It is going to be the Vinsmoke Sora. This one just running it because it is a searchable 2K. Our only searchable 2K in the deck at that, with the stage and the 1-cost event. This one, though, actually does have a decent effect. So on play, it's going to trash 1 card, and then you can actually grab one of the smaller kids from the trash. So kind of cool. If you don't, say you don't have an Ichiji in hand, you can just play this guy, or you can play her, grab Ichiji, and then you can go for game, whatever you're planning to do with it. Very niche. I really don't play her, like, ever. But definitely still a great card, just for the fact that it's a searchable 2K. Next up here, we've got 2 of Vinsmoke Judge. Vinsmoke Judge is a pretty interesting card in this deck. I like him a lot in, like, say a Moria matchup where they just remove my whole board in 1 turn. Because he can just allow me to instantly replenish the entire board with 1 card while developing an 8K. Really, really necessary in some matchups, and really, really dead in other matchups. So in those matchups, you're going to want to trash him with stage, which is not that big a deal. Even in matchups I like to see him in, I trash him with stage a lot of the time, depending on how much counter I have in hand. Definitely a situational card, no doubt about that, but definitely has saved me games. I actually didn't play him in any of the games today, unfortunately, so you will not see any Power Rangers suit-ups. But have played him a ton. He's won me a ton of games, don't get me wrong, so really good card there. Next up, our last Germa card, and I think the most interesting card in my deck. We have 2 of Black Bug. I think this card has been gaining a bit of popularity, and I really do like it. So if you don't know what this card does, guys, it's going to be a 4-cost main, and then basically it's going to be same as these guys, where its effect only goes off if you have equal or less Dawn than your opponent. So unless you're playing against Red Purple Law, you will be able to do that. it's just going to bottom deck a 5-cost card. And it is bottom deck, even though we're in purple. So bottom decking is great, right? Because if we're playing against Moria / Sakazuki that wants these cards in trash to recycle them, this completely denies that. This can instantly go for game. It is one of our best removal in the late game when we need to get blockers out of our way. It is searchable off of these Germa stages. And also in matchups where it's really just not that good, it's a great card to discard as well. So really like this card. Another situational card, which is why we only run 2, but I do really enjoy it. Next up here, we've got Kaya, probably our best 2K. Out of all my 2Ks, this is the 2K I play the most. You're going to get hands where you don't have either of these and you don't have any combos available to use yet. Kaya is the best card to get yourself started. If I have 2 Ichijis in hand and a Kaya, I'm playing Kaya and I'm trashing both of these guys, instantly building my trash. So if I ever draw this 4 cost, it's going to be a great combo for me. Really, really necessary 2K. Because it is one of the only ones that can actually build your trash efficiently. And for 1 Dawn, putting 2 cards to the trash that you want there is fantastic. So love Kaya in this deck and play her a lot more than you think. And last up, we just have these 2 Surus for just a little bit extra 2K combo power. You could go 8. It's a bit risky. I see some people go 12. I don't really like 12. I always really like the 10 sweet spot. I think that's my favorite 2K sweet spot. This may be personal preference, but these are pretty much, I've never played this card in my life, just letting you guys know. This is specifically for the 2K. There's really just no other 2K that I think I'd play over this one. It doesn't really make a difference because I would not be playing any 2K in that slot anyway. And next up here, we've got 2 of the new 4-cost Pudding. This card is a menace, guys. If you haven't seen this card, it's basically going to make your opponent put their entire hand back in the deck and then reshuffle it and then draw 5 like they just mulliganed. So with decks that love to hoard giant hands, this card completely nullifies them. It's not going to be great in every matchup, and people are going to be playing around it knowing that it exists, but its presence alone is just such a insane commodity that you definitely want to run at least 2. I think 2 is the sweet spot, because seeing too much of this card is also really bad. Getting a 4K on board for 4 is not good. And you're actually going to see a game today where I get 2 in hand and not a great spot, but it's my only play, so I have to play it. So great in some situations, mediocre in others, but definitely an insane tech card that I think every blue deck from this point on should probably be running. And last but not least, we have the tried and true 2 Queen. I love Queen, guys. If you've watched any of my deck techs, I pretty much run this guy in like every purple deck I play. He is just way too good. This one is no different. Just the fact that he can trash a card, like the synergy makes sense. You can trash a card with his effect, right? So we can put Ichiji in trash. We can put extra stages in trash. Not to mention he does a Dom minus, which means we can draw off leader. So we are drawing 3, trashing 1. Very, very strong. And he is actually, if you look around, our only blocker in the deck. So in situations where we have no life and we can't finish the game, this guy is our go-to. We definitely need to see him in those situations, which are pretty rare, because I actually choose to counter out and keep myself at 4 life all game for the most part, because we're just drawing and we're replenishing our counter every turn anyway. So really, really like this guy. He actually doesn't come up a whole ton, but in the situations where you're bricked up, he's probably your best card to see. So love Queen and I love this deck. That is going to be the deck list, guys. Hope you agree with my picks. I think the only one that I see Reiju's run that I'm not is going to be the 4-cost Yonji blocker. Yonji is the only Vinsmoke child I'm not running. Why is that? I think it's bad. So pretty much having a 4/6 blocker is good, right? And bringing it off Judge is also good. He'd be like a last-second blocker that you maybe need until you realize that all the best decks run. Say we're yellow, we run a Maru. Instant rest, I get plus 3K. Black, we're not even talking about that, right? Removes it so easily. I just think 4-cost blockers are not in a great spot in the meta right now, and for that, I don't really like Yonji in this deck. So that is the reasoning for that, and that is the reasoning why I picked this deck list. Again, we went 3-0 this week at Locals. Some really fun games, and really excited to go over them with you guys. So let's go ahead and get into those right now. And getting into game 1 here, we're going to be going against a Green Uta. The starter deck Uta to be exact. This player actually did not have a ton of experience. I think he said he had been playing the game for about 1 or 2 weeks. His deck actually is, I think, just 2 Uta starter decks put together, so I don't think he has any of the Namis or anything crazy like that. So let's just go ahead and see how this game goes. Looks like we're going to be going on 1, and thankfully we do have the stage to start it off, trashing the ETG, which is always the best option to trash, and grabbing the judge off of those top 3 and passing to our opponent. Opponent now on 2 Dawn. Doesn't look like he has a ton of great plays other than going to play Jinbei for 2 and just pass back to me. Now on 3 Dawn, we're definitely going to activate Stage. Trashing hopefully an ETG if we have another one in hand, but looks like we're going to go ahead and trash that judge, looking at top 3. And just debating what I want to grab here. I think I saw a judge in the top 3, and even though we have one in trash, I think I'd rather just grab the 2K. So going to go for the Germa 6/6 event now, searching once again, going to grab that 2-cost Reiju, and with that 2 Dawn up, we're going to go ahead and swing 5, and then most likely just drop that 2-cost Reiju and suit up right away. So yeah, going to use that effect, put it in the trash, and go ahead and play the Reiju out from hand. Obviously you usually want to play from trash, but in situations like these, especially if you're going to draw 3, it's really not a big deal if you're just going to play this out of trash. You know, you dropped out of 5K for 2 Dawn and you drew 3. Always a good option there. Opponent now on 4 Dawn. Looks like he has a Brook into a Robin. I don't think there's a 2-drop he can play. So he's actually just going to choose to backlight our Reiju and going to swing into it twice here. Going to go 5. We'll give him a 1K Niji. And then he will go 6, grabbing that Luffy off the top, and we'll give him a 2K that we just searched out last turn. So now on us, we will go ahead and ramp up to 4 Dawn this turn. If we do have the ETG, we will most likely be playing that. So we're going to go ahead and trash the Niji from hand with Stage. Look at top 3, and we're going to go ahead and grab the small Niji. So also a great player if we wanted to play that and pop the Jinbei. Niji really good in situations like these where you don't really need to get ETG out just yet. So we'll go ahead and go 5K lead since we know we're popping that Jinbei, and then we'll follow it up with a 6K lead. He will choose to take that. And then we'll go ahead and use the Niji effect, grabbing out the 5 cost from trash, popping the Jinbei, and drawing 1. So really good turn for us here, honestly. Going to play Reiju into Niji, and then I would assume most likely going to play ETG next turn if we have it. We already have one in the trash. And as you can see here, I'm just going ahead and organize our bodies we have to play. Looks like we have 1 5-cost Niji and 1 7-cost Ichiji to use. So opponent now on 6 Dawn, going to play a Brook into a Robin, and a Robin into a Chopper. If I were him, I probably wouldn't have played that Chopper. Would have kept it in hand for a 2K counter. But he's going to go ahead and attach 1 to lead, swing 6 to lead, and grab that 3-cost event. We'll just give him a 2K Kaya, and then he will pass back to us. Now on a 5 Dawn here, we could play anything from a Queen just to a simple Ichiji. We're going to go ahead and trash another Niji, grab that 7-cost Ichiji here. And going to go ahead and probably start swinging into board, into life I mean. Going to go 5, will give us a 1K counter. We'll go another 5 with 3 cards in hand. He will choose to take, going down to 3. We'll put 1 on Niji, going 7. Going to be difficult to counter out of that one, so he'll have to take that one as well. And then we'll activate the Ichiji effect, playing out the rush character, drawing off leader, and then swing 7 once again into the leader. And he might be forced to take this one, and it looks like he is. Not a whole lot of counter in hand unless he left some Dawn up for that counter event, which 3 Dawn is a lot to leave up for a turn. Because that is Dawn, you are now not attaching to your characters and attacking into board, so can definitely kind of screw you up there. Don't really love that event, and I don't think Utas really run it if they don't have to. So 3 Dawn here for the blocker Uta, going to protect that life, since we do have a pretty scary board right now at this moment in time. But he's going to go ahead and attach his Dawn to Robin and leader. He'll go ahead and swing first with Brook into Reiju. We'll give an easy 1k here. He'll go ahead and swing with Uta, 6k at our leader, I'm assuming. And we'll go ahead and just take that one after he grabs the 2k chopper off his leader effect. And then he's actually going to pass turn to us. So now on 6 Dawn this turn, we'll go ahead and activate stage right away. Gonna grab a 4-cost EGG into our hand, which is fantastic, especially since we already have one in trash. Gonna go ahead and go 7 at lead. We are just trying to end this game as soon as we can, pretty much. Don't want to deal with any 7-cost Luffy craziness. We actually forgot to ramp earlier in the turn here, so we're just gonna go ahead and do it there. We will follow it up with a 5k to leader with our leader. Gonna swing another 5 here. We actually swing into Robin. I think we're gonna go for a board clear strategy here since we know we can't end the game this turn. We're gonna go ahead and go 6k at Brook. He has no counter in hand, minus the 3-cost event. So gonna play the Germa stage out. Going to use that effect to trash a Reiju from hand and search top 3. Gonna grab a 1-cost 2k counter Sora. Now with 5 Dawn remaining, not a ton of great plays. I think I actually mathed this turn a little bit incorrectly. So gonna play the Ichiji out. Just get that 7k on board, and then we'll just go ahead and go 8k to lead. I think I wanted to do a Reiju and an Ichiji play, but playing that stage kind of screwed me up. Because I think I was trying to get down to a certain amount of cards in hand so I can actually draw off Reiju, and then in doing so I actually screwed myself over because I didn't give myself enough Dawn to actually play the card. So a little bit of a misplay there, but it shouldn't really matter in the end here. Opponent now on 10 Dawn, I think. 8 or 10. We did ramp pretty fast here. It's kind of hard to remember what your opponent's on when you're just kind of constantly manipulating your Dawn with Reiju. So he'll go ahead and be forced to swing with this chopper. Looks like he's going to put 4 on there. So on chopper's, what is that, a 2k body, he'll go ahead and swing 6 at our Reiju. We'll go ahead and give that to him. Not a lot of great counter in hand at this moment in time. Going to swing 6 with his leader there. We'll give him a 2k. And then he'll just go ahead and spend 1 for that new Genesis. Looking at the top 3, looks like he's got a Zoro, a Chopper, and another 1-cost event. He's going to go ahead and grab that Chopper, which is probably the best option here. And then just restand that Dawn. Now with 6 Dawn remaining, the vast majority of his Dawn, he's going to pass. I'm pretty sure he has 2 3-cost events in hand. So not going to play into that and not going to swing too big because it's just going to get countered out anyway. So you might as well force them out of hand with lower swings and use your Dawn on something else. So can use the black bug here. Going to bottom deck that Uta, which is pretty solid here. It's a bit costly considering he spent 3 on it, but we're just going to go ahead and swing a few times to lead here. Going to go 7. He'll be forced to give us that 3-cost event. We'll go another 7. He'll be forced to take. We'll just go ahead and go another 7 with Niji. And that is all she wrote. And getting into game 2 here, we're going to be going against a Gecko Moria with that fantastic Altar leader. I think this was probably my hardest game of the day, I would say. It kind of came down to the wire and unfortunately turned out in my favor, but let's see how it goes. Accidentally putting my whole hand on the table there. Realized I did it after I put it down. Hopefully opponent didn't see that. So we're going to be going second here. Going to be playing the Druma 66 event right now. Going to grab an Ichiji. Probably did not have one in hand. And unfortunately do not have stage. So we'll have to pass over to the Moria here. We'll just go ahead and activate leader effect. Trashing an Absalom and the top 2. Looks like Absalom is actually his only target right now. So he's just going to go ahead and play that body out. And we'll go ahead and 2k out of that 6k swing. So now at 4 Dawn. We'll swing 5 at lead. Most likely going to just play out an Ichiji, I would assume. Yep. Going to play that out. Put 1 Dawn back. 7k out from hand and draw 1. And then we'll swing 7k at lead. So taking that first 5k is kind of rough for him because now I get to swing 7k, and he either has the counter out of a bigger swing or just forced to take it and go down to 3, which he is. So going down low pretty early here for him, which is a little dangerous, but that is exactly how I like to play into this matchup as Reiju. If you attack into their board, like into their Absalom and stuff, you're just giving them opportunities to bring them back for free off of Moria or off of leader effect. So in this matchup specifically, I usually just focus on going leader. So we're going to go ahead and counter out of the Absalom swing and then go ahead and take the Moria swing. Not wanting to give it a 2k there. And he'll go ahead and play the Kuzan. So Kuzan is a bit scary because it's going to allow him to kind of put our Ichiji in KO range, which we really don't want. So we're going to go ahead and play the stage. Finally, I think we just drew into it. So going to activate effect, getting rid of a black bug and drawing that Niji into hand. And then we will go ahead and go 6 at lead. Again, not swing at the Absalom. I really don't want to build his trash. And then he'll go ahead and take the 7k from Ichiji, and then we'll use the 3-cost Ichiji or 3-cost Niji to bring out the 5-cost and to bounce that Kuzan back to hand. So if he does replay it, he does get another draw, but it is kind of, it's going to slow him down by a lot. He's not getting a swing now, and if he wants to play it this turn, he only has 3 Dawn left to actually do anything with. So in a pretty solid spot here, I would say. We have the better board, and he's already at 2 life. He does have a pretty decent amount of cards in hand, but if we do have a pudding, we can just kind of bring it right back down to 5. So he'll go 6 with Absalom, and then double Ice Age, Niji, and Ichiji, bringing them down to 2 and 1, and then just dropping the Rob Lucci there. So pretty devastating turn for him, and then he's just going to go ahead and go 5k at lead. We'll give him a 1k Niji, and he will pass back to us. So completely removed our board there, which is a bit rough for sure. So we're going to go ahead and play the Germa 66 event. Searching top 5. We'll grab another Ichiji. Probably going to trash that right away with stage, I would assume. He's going to go ahead and take a look at our trash as we figure out what we want to do next here. So yeah, going to do that stage, trash the Ichiji we just grabbed. And look at that, we just got a 4-cost Ichiji that we're probably going to end up playing this turn. And with 5 Dawn remaining, we will probably be swinging 6 and 4 if I had to guess. Just taking a look at his trash, seeing how many 2Ks he's dealing with right now. So we'll go ahead and go 6 at lead. A quick little 2K check, and he actually gives us a 1 and a 1, which is a really, really important turn for us because we know he does not have any 2Ks in hand. So then playing the Ichiji again, not going aboard, going 7k to leader, which is how I like to play against Moria, and I think it is the correct way to play against Moria. Because building trash is kind of counterproductive in this matchup. So opponent now on 9 Dawn. 9 Dawn is a little bit of a scary turn because he can drop the Moria, although if he does drop the Moria, he cannot really threaten our Ichiji unless he had an Ice Age. Ice Age would be a little rough. Or if he actually had a Great Eruption into Helmeppo, he can drop an Absalom or Lucci from trash and go ahead and pop while bringing out a pretty devastating board. But if those two scenarios are not it, we actually probably have game next turn, considering he showed us 0 2Ks last turn. So looking through his trash, definitely thinking about playing a Moria here. Could replay a Borsalino, which does not sound bad at all. Just developing a blocker might be the play here for sure. And it looks like our opponent cannot remove our Ichiji, which I'm completely reading by the fact that he's going to start attaching Dawn and swinging into it. So we're going to counter out of this thing like our life depends on it. So we're going to give him 2 1Ks for both of those 7K swings. Now with 6 Dawn remaining, if he wants to have a threatening swing into my Ichiji, he cannot drop a blocker, which is a big problem for him, considering I know he doesn't have a lot of counter in hand right now. So yeah, he's just going to go another 7, which we will definitely counter out of with these last 2 cards in hand. I'm thinking about it for a second here, but I think I know my only out is just to win next turn. So going to give him that Kaya, and with 4 Dawn, if that's a Borsalino, it might be kind of rough, but we do have a little bit of ways to play around it. He's going to go ahead and play out a Kuzan and draw 1, which is just showing me that, yeah, he does not have a blocker, and he does not have a ton of counter in hand either, so going for game is definitely my best option here. Going to just do stage just because we can right now. But I'm going to figure out how to allocate my Dawn to go for game. because even though he has, I think, about 6 cards in hand, there really isn't a situation where he has any amount of 2Ks that can win here. So we'll go ahead and go 9. I'm going to use the Great Eruption trigger, which doesn't really matter for me. All it reads to me is that card he didn't get from life was not a 2K. So if I swing into leader here, it is pretty much wraps. We're going to think about what we're having to trash with Great Eruption, because we were half thinking about playing another attacker here, but looking through the trash, we know he didn't have any 2Ks last turn. He played a Kuzan, so he could have technically drawn 1 and drawn 1 that turn, but we just go 10, and yeah, he does not have the counter. And getting into our final match here, we're actually going to be going against a Belo Betty, which is very interesting. This Belo Betty was actually 1-1. I ended up getting down paired. Unfortunately, this was a big tournament, so there were a few players that were undefeated, and unfortunately, I was one of the ones that got down paired. So we're gonna see what we can do against this deck. I don't think I've ever actually played this matchup, and I ended up going second, which I think is what we want to do. So he'll go ahead and swing 6. We want to counter out of attacks while we can, because we know the bigger ones are coming later. And looking at my hand now, I think I have like all 2Ks and then like 2 puddings. And no state. There's really nothing I can do this turn, so I'm going to swing 5 at lead, hoping he takes and gets no trigger. But he unfortunately does get a trigger, developing that Kuma onto board, so we're going to go ahead and play a 4-cost pudding. He did only have 5 cards in hand, so we're just completely mulliganing his whole hand. I assumed he had a decent hand, considering he kept it, but according to him, I actually just gave him a better hand by doing that. But pudding was my only play that turn. Unfortunately. And that is also why I swung at lead, otherwise I would not. He'll go ahead and play the 5-cost Ivankov on curve, getting out the Banish Inazuma, which is definitely terrifying, and then just swing 5 at lead. We will get rid of that other pudding. And he's actually going to activate leader effect, put it on the pressure here. Going to go a 5K swing into another 5K swing, and we'll just go ahead and give him a 2K there. Want to use these cards in hand, but we really do not have any combos at the moment. So going to swing with pudding, coming in handy that we played that on there. And then we'll go ahead and play a queen. Really important card, and this is why I run it. So going to trash the ECG and then draw 2 and then draw 1 off leader. So really strong there, and then we actually ended up getting the stage. Finally getting ourselves online. And then it looks like we're going to go ahead and grab a Sora from that. So now passing to our opponent, we're in a bit of a better spot, especially considering we have stage, but we are definitely not out of the woods yet. So he still has the Banish Inazuma on board, which is really terrifying. We do not want to have any life banished. Banish is definitely one of the strongest keywords in the game, so he's going to play that Karasu out, which is probably another one of the scariest cards in this matchup. We'll go ahead and swing 8 at leader. We'll choose to take that one and definitely not take the banish one. So he'll go ahead and go 8K to our 4K leader. Do not forget that. Karasu did make our leader 4K for this turn. So we actually need to give him a double 2K and a 1K here, which does not feel great at all. Then going to go 9 with Ivankov. We'll choose to take that one, wanting to keep queen on board for next turn, because if we don't have a blocker, we probably just lose. So going to choose to use stage here. And going to trash, I think it was another 7-cost, and then grab the 3-cost Niji, which could be a decent play this turn, especially considering we can send Karasu back to hand. It looks like we're going to go ahead and choose to play the Ichiji though, getting the 7-cost onto board here, and probably minusing that 5-cost Ivankov down to 4K. So now with 3 down left, we're going to go ahead and go 4K at 4K. He'll go ahead and give us a 1K counter with 2 cards remaining in hand. We'll go 7K at the Inazuma. If he needs a counter out of this, that's going to be his whole hand. And then we'll go ahead and go 8K at 4K, and he will definitely give us that one. So now opponent on, what is that? 9 Dawn. A lot of Dawn to swing with. So if he just went crazy with board and leader here, we would definitely just have to take one and then give him the blocker on the next one. So, going to put us in a bad spot where if we can't develop a blocker next turn, we probably just lose the game. So, and he actually develops the Rush Inazuma. So, really terrifying spot here. Especially if he can buff these two with leader effect. Because I don't know if I'd have the counter in hand to counter 2 hits. No, sorry, I would only need to counter 1 hit because I would need to take 1, block 1, and counter 1. So he'll go ahead and actually only swing 6. Thankfully, did not have a Revo in hand, I'm assuming, and could not buff his board, which helped us out a lot. So we'll just go ahead and give him a 2K and a 1K. He'll swing a 7 at leader, making our leader a 4K. He probably should have swung with that Crossu first. We'll go ahead and take that one, getting a Germa trigger and drawing 1. And then he'll go ahead and go a 7K at our 4K leader. I actually think we need to block this one, even with 4 cards in hand. So now going to pass to us. Not in a great spot once again. We cannot finish him now as we only have 3 swings. So we're going to go ahead and play the get rid of board game once again. Going to go 4K into the Inazuma. He's actually going to counter out of that one, which I don't think I agree with. I'm going to go 7K at the Karasu, and then we're going to just go ahead and drop the Queen. I want to see what we're dealing with before I decide what to attach to leader here. And then going to use the stage to get rid of a Judge that we are definitely not playing, and then grabbing the 4-cost Reiju. Going to spend 1 on another Germa 66 event, really trying to get these combos off, but not getting the best cards, to be truly honest. Now with 2 Dawn remaining, we're probably just going to attach that and swing at Inazuma. 1 card cannot get out of that swing, so passing back to him. And with a blocker on board, the only way he wins this turn is if he has a Rush card, which he does not. He's just going to attach all the lead, go 15K, and we'll give him the blocker Queen. Now at this point in time, we do not have enough swings to win just yet unless we have a Rush. So we're going to go ahead and trash stage with stage. And it looks like we're going to grab another 4-cost Ichiji. So if we didn't have one in hand already, we have a way to win this game. Because we don't have a blocker this turn, and if he just goes 15K next turn, we lose. So we know we need to win the game this turn. So we're going to start it off with a 5K lead. Just check his hand. He's actually going to choose to take that and play out the Lindbergh, getting rid of the one cost raise max, which is not a counter anyway. But I think it would have been better just to keep the Lindbergh in hand and just kind of feign that you have counter. Now thinking how to attach our Dawn here, we're going to go 5K with Pudding. Now with the 1 card left in hand, he's actually going to choose to take. I'm assuming that card has no counter. We'll go 7K again, but it actually does. He's going to give us a 2K and a 1K, and we're going to go ahead and drop the Ichiji, bring out the 7 cost from trash and attacking, and then we actually have another one in hand. We're going to go 7K again, and you cannot counter out of that. And that is going to be the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching our locals video this week. I again apologize that it ended up being Reiju instead of the promised Yamato. But you guys did vote Reiju. She was very close on the first poll, and she did win the second poll, so just getting her a little early. And again, you will be getting Yamato next week. But as for Reiju, really fun leader. Had a lot of fun this week, and will definitely be the main leader I'm focusing on this set. Really glad I could go 3-0 and show you guys the power of Reiju this week. We definitely had some funky matchups for sure, and some interesting games, but I think it was fun and definitely showed the things that you can kind of do with this deck to just pop off and start going crazy. As for the deck list, it's pretty standard. You know, even though the deck list is super standard and everybody plays the same thing, I really enjoy playing the list. Like, if you guys can make this list, it's super cheap and it's super fun and really good. I think it's the best option for new players for sure. But anyways, I am going to Santa Clara Regionals tomorrow morning, and it is really late and I have to wake up really early, so I'm going to stop yapping and edit this video and go to sleep. But anyways, you guys have a great day. I'm gonna head out of here. Peace.